Good morning, friends. Today's Bible story starts off with Jesus talking to his disciples. Hey, come on up. Let's have a seat. There's room right up here. But before that, I want us to think about some of the stories that we've heard in children's church. Often when we tell some of Jesus' stories in children's church, it starts something like people wanting to follow Jesus because of what he was doing, but they didn't really know who he was. So they're following this man they don't know a whole lot about, and then they finally have to ask him, "Who are you?" And sometimes he says things like, "I am the truth," or "I am the way," or "I am the light." But today's story starts with people that Jesus knows, his disciples. And Jesus wants to know what the people who are following them are saying about him. So he says, "Who do people say that I am?" He's asking his good friends. And they said, "Well, some people think you are," what does this say? "John the Baptist." Yeah. And then others say Elijah, which was kind of weird because Elijah wasn't even alive at this time. And then they said, and some people say you are Jeremiah or one of the other prophets. Yeah, so they think you might be a prophet, Jesus. And then Jesus turns to his friends and he says, "But who do you say that I am?" And without skipping a beat, Peter says, "The Messiah, the Son of the living God." Well, Jesus kind of stops and says, "No person has told you that I am the Messiah. God told you that." So now everybody knows that God has told Peter that Jesus is the Messiah. Remember, they've been waiting for the Messiah. They've been looking. And Jesus is saying, "Here I am." And then Jesus tells Peter, "I'm going to use you to build my church." And he's not talking about with a hammer and nails, but he wants Peter to be one of the ones who's going to help bring people to him so they can learn what he has to offer them as the Messiah, as the Son of God. It's kind of a big deal. And then something really weird happens. Jesus says, "Don't tell anyone that I am the Messiah." I wonder why he said that. And the story doesn't tell us why. We just have to wonder. I'd be curious to know what you think. I'd be curious to know what you think. But let's close this time together with a prayer. Repeat after me. Loving God, thank you for loving us. Help us to be like Peter, someone you talked to and trusted to build your church. And all of God's children say, amen.